What is up, everybody? Welcome to the 2024 NFL prediction show for the playoffs with me, your very favorite DGen, and my co-host, Mr. Double Deuce, Ian himself. Ian, how are we doing this evening?
I'm doing great. I just wish my team was still in the playoff hunt. So now I guess I got to jump on a bandwagon to see if you can coach me to be an Eagles fan.
Come on over.
25.
Come on over. We'll let you over. We'll have you over here. Yeah, we'll definitely have you over here because I see we have a nemesis in the crowd here. Not really, but kind of. Joe from Craftsmaster Journey saying, "Go Pack, go!" They took out the Seagulls already, and now let's take out the Philly Penguins. All right, well, cheesehead, relax. We're gonna turn your team into Swiss cheese. Okay, Joe. We'll talk about that. But anyway, love doing shows with Ian, talking football. It's the best. We got Craig here as well, Mr. Old Bay Craps. He's doing some work, and we have Joseph Ramus here as well, checking in. So we're going to give you guys our predictions for this year's playoffs. Ian, before we get into what we talked about all the way back in September, what are your thoughts overall so far on this NFL season?
Well, I think the main thing we look at is we look at the powerhouse of like Josh Allen, right? On one side, I think that guy is an ultimate beast. He is, there's a lot of talk about him and Lamar going against it. I was shocked to see Barkley. I mean, I drafted Barkley in our internal fantasy league. The guy, I didn't win it. I took second. I dominated all year and then choked in the finals. That's how it goes. But then you get in and you see some really amazing thing. We both thought that the Bengals were going to be the real deal. And to see them just sputter out and just barely miss the playoffs, I can tell you right now, I bet you Andy Reid's glad they missed the playoffs because they were playing so good towards the end there. You look at teams like Detroit, I mean, just giving the smackdown to Minnesota last weekend, I think that was a huge statement. You got a guy like Bo Nix in Denver. The guy that was like the fifth quarterback or fourth quarterback or whatever he was taken. Can't remember for sure what it was. But that was a throwaway. They threw away Russell Wilson, had to draft a quarterback, got him into the playoffs. I mean, I was a Knicks fan. I was hoping that the Seahawks would draft him as well, especially coming out of Oregon. But truly, when you look at this, I think first and foremost, I'd really like to give props out to Saquon Barkley and how stupid are the Giants. You pay $40 million to a guy you dump, and you don't want to pay a guy that probably could have broke the all-time record if he chose to do that, right? Let's be honest. The guy was a complete beast this year. 2,000 yards rushing. I mean, just ran over people constantly. If I had a vote, I would vote him the MVP strictly because of what he did. The Eagles, great team this year. I picked them to win the Super Bowl, so I still got a shot at that at the beginning. I think when we look back at our prediction show that we did back in September, some things panned out. One of those was this, Chris, if you remember, Ian Olsen came out and said, take the Seahawks to cover 7.5 and book the farm on it. Didn't I, my friend?
You did. That was like that was your put the bookie in the coffin bet right there,
that
too.
That was it. I told everybody, bet the farm on that bad boy. And sure enough, not a problem. Now, did we make the playoffs? No. We lost to the Giants at home. Costly, right?
Yeah.
But another team I'd really like to talk about is the Commanders. I mean, Chris, I don't know, it comes from your division. Dan Quinn came in, took probably who's going to be the rookie of the year, and really parlayed that into a really solid team. And rumor has it they got some room in the salary cap next year to do a little work as well. So I'm excited about the playoffs. It's my favorite time of the year. I think there's some good teams there. I think there's some throwaway teams in here, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But I really like what we see coming down the pipe. I think, the divisional rounds, okay, championship rounds when we get into it. Those are when we get to the Final Four. We're going to have some fun, you and I. And we might even have to do a show just based off of the Final Four coming out of it. Because I think you're going to see some teams that are just so well matched up, or maybe one dominates on defense and their offense is, in the middle of the pack versus, you got a team that dominates on offense, but their defense is really middle of the pack, right? I think it's awesome to see a team like Detroit, who lost what 8 starters or 8 people on or 10 people on defense
On defense. Yep.
to still come back and be the team. Everybody, throw away Goff. He's a nobody. Wow, look at what the guy's doing, man. Look, he beat us. He beat the Seahawks. I give him credit. So seriously, when you look at, I think we're going to have a fun playoff time, my friend. I think it's going to be fun to watch. The only thing that sucks about playoff is we know that the season's almost done. We only got a month left of the season, right? And that it's Super Bowl time, which is great because for those of you that don't know, go to Vegas for the Super Bowl. It's the best party you're going to run into all year. Now, the Final Four guys will tell you, wait a minute, come week 1 of the tournament. But I'm telling you, come out for the Super Bowl. We do golf, we do craps, we do drinking. So come on out.
It's gonna be a party. Yeah, no, I think it's been a really, really good season. Like the point you made too, because I know you and I were both pretty high on the Bengals back in September, and I'm not mad about that take at all. I think honestly, if you look at the last, let's say, month to month and a half of the season, even if you want to extend to the second half of the season, I think they are actually the scariest team in the NFL. Unfortunately, the beginning of their season and the beginning middle of the season was poor from them. And they're going to miss the playoffs, but it's remarkable. Jamar Chase going for the receiving triple crown, receptions, yards, and touchdowns. Burrow slinging that ball. I mean, they looked good, especially down the stretch there. And unfortunately, they didn't play well in the beginning of the season, and they lost some games they shouldn't have lost, and it cost them the playoff spot. So unfortunate there for them. I know you and I were both high on the Eagles. A lot of people were telling me, "Oh, it's a homer pick." How much of a homer pick is it now, though? I mean, you look at them; they're very, very well-rounded team. They have the best defense in the league. So we'll talk about the Eagles extensively later on. But no, I think overall it's been a really good season. You mentioned the Commanders with Jaden Daniels. I watched him in person. I was at the game at the link when the Eagles played the Commanders, and let me tell you, that was not a stress-free game. All right, that was a very stressful game up until about the fourth quarter, and even then, it was like watching him just move that offense down the field. Mind you, in that game, Terry McLaurin had 1 catch. It was all Jaden Daniels, Zach Ertz, and Noah Brown. I was like, who the hell is Noah Brown? Who is this guy doing this stuff? And Jaden Daniels, very, very good quarterback. I think for the foreseeable future, you're going to see the NFC East be a battle between the Commanders and the Eagles. It used to be, Eagles-Dallas was the big thing. Now, we all see what Dallas has done this year. Dallas is going to continue to get worse because they don't have a quarterback, and they're paying him so much money. They got CeeDee Lamb under a huge contract, who's an absolute stud. Now they're going to have to sign Parsons, or he's going to be gone.
Yep.
And if they sign Parsons, they're going to have almost 60% of their salary cap taken up by 3 guys. So, Dallas is in for a hurt, and they don't have many draft picks either. So we'll see what happens there. But, no, it's been a really good season, very eventful season. I think there were some surprising teams this year. Definitely the Broncos, very surprised with them. And Bo Nix has just been – if Jaden Daniels didn't have the year he had, Bo Nix would be Rookie of the Year, if you ask me. But –
Neighbors out of New York played pretty well.
Yeah, he did. He did play really well. And even Brock Bowers for the Raiders. I mean,
look at all the records he broke.
Yeah. I mean, let's be honest, though. I think this year was a huge year for rookies in general, right? I mean, Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, Malik Neighbors, Brock Bowers, then not even to mention on the defensive side of the ball, right? You got, the 2 studs on the Eagles team, Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell. I mean, those dudes are locked down.
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing how, I know being an Eagles fan, I'm watching Quinyon Mitchell more than most probably, but through the first 10 weeks of the season, he didn't let up a touchdown against a wide receiver. And I'm not talking about, some Joe Schmo. I'm talking Terry McLaurin, Mike Evans, Chris Olave, Jamar Chase. We're talking top talent, and he was shutting them down. So, very impressive rookie class this year. Very, very impressive. And not even just the Eagles. There's the one guy on the Giants was really, really good. There's a couple other rookies on defense who have been playing really, really well this year. So props to the rookies this year because they killed it.
What was your biggest surprise of the entire year in football?
I'll be honest. I think the Broncos were my biggest surprise. I'll be
Really?
completely honest with you. I thought the Broncos were going to be a bad team this year. I figured them to be a top 5 pick this year. I really did. I had them not making the playoffs. I had them being a piss poor team, and boy, did they make me eat my words. I mean, Bo Nix looked really good. Their defense is unbelievable with Patrick Surtain and the rookie that they just drafted, who's been playing really well. So yeah, the Broncos look good. I'm honestly rooting for the Broncos. We'll talk about that matchup, unfortunately, for the Broncos, in my opinion, but we'll see what happens there. But yeah, the Broncos, I think, were really surprising, and I think a lot of people were surprised. I was not, by the Bears. A lot of people were surprised, Caleb Williams and the Bears played so poorly. I said it in September. I've been saying it since Caleb Williams was in college. Caleb Williams is not a good quarterback. For anybody who thinks he's a great quarterback, he is not. So you put that with what they did with their coaching this year and everything else, and you see an abysmal team in the Chicago Bears. And I don't want to hear the excuses of he's a rookie, he's a rookie. He has the second best receiving core going into the season other than the Eagles.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe the Bengals are maybe, but like the Bears are a top 3 receiving core with Rome Odunze and Keenan Allen and Cole Kmet and DeAndre Swift and DJ Moore. Like,
Yeah.
that's a stacked receiver room right there.
I agree with you.
And
Yep.
their offensive line, they improved their offensive line to protect him. So I'm sitting here like, you want to say the Bears did well? I'll debate that all day long. I think the Bears played atrociously. Now, it's not all Caleb Williams' fault. It's coaching as well. But with those many offensive weapons, I mean, you could put, like, imagine you put Bo Nix in that situation.
Oh. He's happy he's not in that situation.
Oh, yeah.
What I think is funny is now Pete Carroll's going over there to interview for them for that job, right? He wants to keep coaching, so it's like, yeah, good. But I agree with you. I didn't see, he's been a diva since he was, a sophomore in high school, and I just don't. I'm glad I'm not a Bears fan.
Yeah,
but
me too.
But my biggest, surprise this year's was, and Jen, I hope you're in the comments if you're not on this call, was your San Francisco 49ers. What a complete destruction of an old team who is going to be so far over the salary cap over the next couple of years. You might as well write them off and come join the Seahawks, because you guys are in a world of hurt. I mean, yes,
yeah, they are.
CMC goes down. You know that. Killed your fantasy team.
Killed my fantasy team. I have a gripe to pick with the 49ers for that, because they did not make any statements coming into the season. They were saying he was on pace. He was on pace. All of a sudden, week 1 hits, they sit him. Screwed me in week 1. I was like, okay, fine. It's 1 week in fantasy. I can deal with it. Oh, no, he's going on the IR. After the bye, week 10, he finally comes back and then gets hurt 2 weeks later. But yeah. I think these teams need to be held accountable for this lack of transparency that they have. Because, yes, people were saying, he's hurt. Nobody was saying he's going to be out 10 weeks in the beginning of the season.
No way. Yeah, nobody was saying that.
Unbelievable. But yes, you're correct.
And I think
it's trash.
Yeah, and I look at this and I say, you got Deebo Samuel, you got Brandon Ayuk, you're paying a ton of money to both of those guys. And Brock Purdy is on not only a rookie contract, but the last pick contract.
Yep.
That's going to cost them $40 million.
He's not a $40 million quarterback, though.
No way. But either's Geno Smith. Geno Smith.
Yeah, none of these guys are. Sam Darnold's not either, but he's going to get paid too.
It's crazy. I mean, if DJ, when you and girlfriend DJ or fiance DJ have a kid, better be a boy and be as tall as you, and you teach him how to throw a football, because those guys get pizzade.
Yes, that's what we're gonna have to teach them. Rock in the hand, very very early. Quarterback, or maybe a tight end. Right? Yeah. You might not make as much money, but there's a lot of markets for tight ends. Or you know what I'm gonna do? You know what? I'm gonna put my soccer skills to use. I'm gonna make my kid a kicker.
There you go.
I'll make him a kicker because I watch these NFL kickers. Now, listen, for everyone at home, okay, I did play soccer for a long time. Not too long ago, I went to the football field just to see how bad is a 33-yard field goal, an extra point. I can't believe these guys miss. I really can't. It's remarkable. I'm
Uh,
sitting here and I'm like, I was good from 45 in, and I haven't played soccer in a long time. And
yeah,
I'm sitting here, I'm like, I can't believe these guys are getting paid this much money and costing teams this much. And
yeah.
I have a gripe to pick with the Eagles about their kicker, but we'll
I
talk
bet
about that in a little bit.
you do.
Shall we discuss our
Let's
playoffs, sir?
let's get into it. Let's get into it.
All right, let's get into the playoff prediction. All right, so um, obviously, many of you guys know what we do here. We're going to talk about all of the matchups. We're going to talk both sides of the ball. We'll give you our picks. We'll give you our the spreads we like, the money lines we like, all that kind of stuff, and we will get into what we think for the game. So if you haven't seen the bracket already, all right, on the NFC side, you got the Tampa Bay Bucks hosting the Vikings, the Rams hosting Washington. Interesting note here for anybody who is not paying attention to their phone. This game has been moved to Arizona. So as of like 2 hours ago, the game was moved to Arizona due to all the wildfires. So first off, we hope everybody is safe in LA, and anybody who's in the audience listening who is in that area, please stay safe. Watch out for any warnings and stuff like that. But yeah, that game has been moved to Arizona, so it's a neutral site. Then we have the Eagles hosting the Packers. We have the Texans hosting the Steelers, the Ravens hosting the Chargers, and the Bills hosting the Broncos. So we're going to go in TV watching order. All right, to
Yep.
go chronologically for everybody, make it as easy as possible. AFC first. All right, our first matchup in the AFC is going to be the Texans and the Chargers. Again, the Texans are hosting the Chargers on Saturday, 4:30 Eastern Standard Time on CBS. Chargers are 2.5-point favorites. Over under is 42.5. Ian, what are your thoughts on this Chargers Texans game?
Well, to be honest with you, not a big fan of this one. Out of all the stuff that's coming down this weekend, it's my least favorite game to be able to watch. I've just watched the Texans just crumble this year. And I got to give props to Harbaugh. I've never been a Harbaugh fan, but I really like what he's done. He's come in, he's put his money behind, Herbert, and said, "You're my guy. We're going to get you there." So I think this game might be not as close as they have here. I just think the Texans are in disarray. Now that defense is still good. I'll give them that. Nico Collins is not the same player he was at the beginning of the year, right? He got hurt, sat out for a couple weeks. I think, just that slump sometimes that you hear about people getting into. I think that's where Houston is right now. I think there's a lot of talent on that team, but I really look at back here and I look at the Chargers. The Chargers are running the ball well. They're playing solid defense. I'm not saying they're top tier defense, but they're playing a solid game. So I look at this and I say, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and give the 2.5, and I'm going to take the Chargers. I think they cover this easily. I as far as the over under, I don't know if I would touch this just because you truly don't know what's going to happen in here. But I would definitely take the Chargers minus the 2.5.
I like that. I like that. Yeah, I think we talk a lot about trending in the right direction at the right time. The Chargers are trending in a very, very good direction. The Texans are trending in the wrong direction. You brought up a really good point with Nico Collins not being the same as he was last year. We all know CJ Stroud is not the same quarterback he was last year, right?
Yep.
Last year, he was a rookie sensation, and this year he's had that sophomore slump. And unfortunately, for the Texans, it's coming at a very, very bad time. Now, they did lose Tank Dell, which I think contributes to one, CJ Stroud's demise as well as Nico Collins, because when you have a dynamic receiver like a Tank Dell, it opens up Nico a little bit more.
Yeah.
But this game, I think on paper, this game looks a lot closer than it will actually end up being. I agree 100% with you. Chargers on the spread, lay the 2.5. Hell, I'd put them on an alternate spread and jack that up even more. I'll be honest with you. I think this game is not going to be very close at all. But yeah, on paper, the Chargers have the 20th overall offense. The Texans have the 22nd overall offense. relatively even there defensively wise. The Texans have a slight edge, I think, defensively. But again, the way the Chargers are playing right now, they're just firing on all cylinders. With
Yeah.
Herbert, Lad McConkey, J.K. Dobbins is
Yeah.
coming back healthy, ready to go.
Look
I'm
good.
all over the 2.5. I like you. I don't like this over under for the sole reason that I don't think the Texans are going to put up that many points. I really
Yep.
don't. So I think the Chargers are going to be tasked with covering that. I don't like it. I do like the Chargers on the spread a lot. If you need a parlay piece and you're looking for a couple teams on the money line, the Chargers would definitely be in there for me. And like I said, I love them on the spread in this game as well.
For sure. For sure.
But agreed, this game is a snooze fest to me. It's uneventful. I don't really care because, like I said, I think I know the outcome. I probably don't, but I think I do. All right, very interesting game here. Very, very interesting game here. The Steelers and the Ravens. We've got a divisional matchup. Third time's the charm coming up here. The third time these teams are playing. Ravens are hosting the Steelers on Saturday night on Prime. Ravens are 9.5-point favorites, over under 43.5. Ian, what are your thoughts on this one?
Boy, 9.5 is a ton of points, especially for Pittsburgh's owned the Ravens during Jackson's tenure there. Now, the last game they put a butt kicking on top of Russell, but that could have been a totally different game if Russell, when he ran out of the pocket and almost scored the touchdown and they stripped the ball from him on the 2-yard line. That could have been a totally different game, right? I think Russ made a mistake by not sliding. He wanted to try to get that extra yard, which was a huge mistake. Well, they got Zay Flowers. He's going to be out as well. He's not going to play.
Yep.
We got to throw the ball to. Andrews has clutched up lately and been the target that he's always has been. You got Likely as well. The running game is going to be the running game there. But then again, I mean, the Steelers own them. I think the Steelers are really trying to battle together because Tomlin goes out here again. He's going to be 0-4 the last 4 years in the playoffs, right? There's going to be a lot of clamoring. Well, is he somebody we should get rid of? Is his time change? What's going on? Russ has had spurts where Russ looked like the old Russ, right? But he's also had spurts where it's like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? And so when we look at that, the last time these two teams played, number one, sorry, I can't remember his name right off the top of my head. I've had a couple of but Carl Pickens, right? Had one catch.
George Pickens, yep.
George Pickens, yeah. Had one catch. Is that going to happen this time? I doubt it, right? 9.5 points is a lot of points to lay. I don't know. I'm kind of leaning towards Pittsburgh plus the 9.5. If you can buy an extra point there, buy the extra point.
Yeah, I think so. I think the Ravens win this game. I'm not concerned about that. Spread wise, though, that number is quite large, especially for a team that, like you said, has owned the Ravens in the playoffs. And if you look at Lamar Jackson in the playoffs, he has not been good. He's one of the worst top quarterbacks so far, other than probably Dak Prescott in the playoffs. So that 9.5 is a tough number. I mean, the Ravens overall have the best offense in the league, and that really stems from their running game. Yes, their passing offense has been okay. And like you said, though, right, Zay Flowers is out. So now Rashad Bateman becomes your number one wide receiver.
Good luck.
And he has been doing very well. But the thing a lot of people seem to forget is, yes, Rashad Bateman's been putting up numbers, but that's with Zay Flowers on the field.
Yep.
When you take Zay Flowers off the field, now all eyes are on Rashad Bateman. They're on Mark Andrews. So I think this is going to be a lot closer game than people think. Even though the Steelers have looked very, very bad as of late. I mean, I think the Eagles ended the Steelers season 4 weeks ago when they played them. They just crushed every ounce of energy that the Steelers had, and since then they've played the Ravens and lost, the Chiefs and lost, and the Bengals and lost. So they've had a gauntlet of an ending of a season. Yeah. So when we talk about teams trending, I think it's hard to analyze the Steelers' trend in this aspect because they've played 4 very, very good teams, right? And some people, the Bengals aren't a good team. The Bengals were one of the best teams in the NFL towards the end of the season. So I don't think they're going to cover the 9. I agree with you there. I would be on the Steelers on the spread. Ravens win this game in a close one, I think. I think you see a Justin Tucker walk-off field goal and you're going to see the game, and it's going to bring up a very, very interesting conversation about Mike Tomlin. Is it time to move on from Mike Tomlin? Because yes, he has produced a lot of winning seasons, right? I think he's been the coach. I don't even know how long he's been there. They haven't had a losing season yet under his tenure. However, their playoffs have been very, very bad. A lot of one and dones.
Yep.
Sometimes they don't even make the playoffs. So but I think the spread's a bit high on this one. I think we see some recency bias here with how good the Ravens have been playing. And again, Zay Flowers being out is a huge, huge thing to the passing game for the Ravens. It takes away Lamar's security blanket because that's who he looks for when he needs somebody to throw the ball to. He's looking for Zay Flowers all the time.
Yep.
So
one of the things you have to be concerned about, though, is Derrick Henry is a beast, right?
yeah,
And are you going to stack the box and be able to cover him, which I would assume that Pittsburgh's going to do, right? And you're going to let TJ go be TJ and try to get some sacks. That's playing right into Pittsburgh's hand too. I really think that if they do that and try to now you have that X factor in Lamar. Lamar could run for 150 yards. You know what I mean? If he gets out of that. But I agree with you. I just think that there's 9.5 is a ton of points. And the only reason why I said is, buy a half point or buy a full point on that is strictly for insurance purposes. I just think that that's just an area where, especially if you're parlaying that into something, that would be a smart bet.
Yeah, and especially like for anyone who's like new to sports betting and stuff, like you look for key numbers. So key numbers 3, 7, 10 are key numbers because those are scoring possessions basically in football. So that's what you're looking for. So if you can get it to 10, that basically gives you a touchdown and a field goal and you push. If you want to buy it to 10.5, well, now you're free and clear. You need to lose by 2 touchdowns. So I agree. I think the 10.5, or if you can buy it to 10, it's a good number. But yeah, the rushing game is going to be key. If the Steelers can stop the rushing game here, I think you could see an upset. I don't see it. I think the Ravens win this game, like I said, but it's going to be a closer game than I think a lot of people think. I think people see blowouts here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, let's kill the AFC here. Our last game in the AFC. This game is one of the games that I am the most excited for this entire weekend. I love this game. And so it's the Bills, the second seed Bills hosting the Broncos on Sunday, the 1 o'clock Eastern game on CBS. Buffalo's an 8.5-point favorite, over under 47.5. I just want to say one thing. I'm going to kick it over to you, but I want to say one thing first. The Denver Broncos, okay, one of my biggest surprises of the year. I was rooting for them so hard, and I'm really sad for them that they have to play the Bills because I think, honestly, the Denver Broncos would beat any other team in the AFC playoff picture right now.
The Broncos are playing well. Look at Courtland Sutherland. They talked about dumping Courtland Sutherland for the longest time. The guy comes back and has an amazing year. I mean, not to sound geeky, but he was on my fantasy team. I just never played him. And so when you sit back and you look at this, I mean, Josh Allen, I love the kid. I think he's a guy that I would be, if I was a safety and I'm coming up trying to hit him, I would think twice about hitting him. You know what I mean? He's just that big, and a beast. Now we go back on the other side of the ball. You're talking about, the third best defense in the league in the Broncos. And I sit back and I look at this and I say, wow, the biggest thing that stands out to me, again, 8.5 is a ton of points. I still think Buffalo covers that. But I'm looking at the over-under at 47.5, and I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, wow, let's do some numbers on that. That's 27-20. In Buffalo, cold weather. I don't know if it's supposed to snow there or anything yet, but I'm looking at that one and I'm thinking, man, that's something that I would take a look at. Now you go back and you look at the run game with the two of them. I would definitely take Buffalo's run game in there. Okay, passing game. Well, I don't know. It depends on Knicks, and if Knicks can handle the pressure of being in the playoffs. We don't know. That's the big X factor, right, Chris? So when we sit back and we look at this is his first playoff game. Now the guy's played in big games, right? He played at Oregon. He's definitely a big game player. I just look at this and say it might be too much, right? I really look at this and I say I think Buffalo comes in and wants to make a statement to tell Kansas City it's time to go night night, boys. There's a new sheriff in this town. His name's Josh Allen. So I'm taking Buffalo here. Do they cover the spread? Yeah, I think they cover the spread. Where I would lay my money on this would be the under. I would take the under on this because I think with Denver's defense, Buffalo's offense, and then flip them, offense versus defense for the Broncos versus that. I just think 47, 48 points would be tough to get. You know what I mean?
Yep, a lot of points. I agree with you. So, like I said, high on the Broncos. I do think Buffalo covers the spread, though. Again, if you're looking for, I know a lot of people like the money line parlays. So, Buffalo money line in this situation is safe to me. I would take that all day long. Obviously, you have to parlay it with something, but like a Buffalo Chargers parlay plays out pretty nicely. You're getting plus money on that, and you know I like it. Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I think the Bills right now are, to me, they're one of the best teams in the NFL. They are the best team in the AFC, and that's not even a question in my mind that they are the best team in the AFC. I think the NFC is a little bit stronger this year, but Knicks has been very impressive, like you said.
100%.
Couple things though about Bo Nix. Okay, so for people at home, Bo Nix is 4-5 straight up against the spread, or sorry, straight up, not against the spread, just straight up on the road this year. He's been struggling on the road. So I think that plays into this a little bit. The other thing is the Broncos this year are 2-6 straight up when they allow more than 100 rushing yards. You have the two-headed monster of James Cook and Josh Allen running. I look for them to be well over 100 yards. I think James Cook will get a buck himself. Josh Allen will probably run for 50 or 60 yards, if not more. So I think that alone is going to be a problem for them. And the Broncos have shown that, when they allow a lot of rushing yards, they lose games. And the other thing, you said the over-under, like you said, it's going to be cold for one. And two, with the rushing attack the Bills have, they drain a lot of time off the clock. The other thing with
Yes.
the Broncos are a very slow moving offense. If you watch them, they have some explosive plays here and there, but they're pretty methodical moving down the field, getting what they need yardage wise. They take a lot of time on drive. So that does lead to your under. Final stat I have, Buffalo is 6-0 straight up as a more than 6-point favorite this year. All signs, in my opinion, here point to the Buffalo Bills. We got some folks joining in. I just want to say hello. We got Lee joining in. Oh God, Nick, really, man? I'm kidding. Nick knows I love him. Go Chiefs, Super Bowl champs. They own out in the playoffs. And we got Jim Badger checking in. Yep, the Broncos do have a losing record against teams with winning record. It's very true. And yeah, I don't think that's going to change in this one. I'll be honest with you. All right. Let's go over to the NFC, baby.
Let's do it.
Let's go over to the NFC. We got the Bucks hosting the Vikings. The Rams host. Well, technically the Rams are hosting the Commanders, but like I said in the beginning, that game's been moved to Arizona because of the fires. And then we got my Birds hosting the Packers. So let's talk Birds and Packers, baby. Sunday, 4:30 Eastern. Eagles are 4.5-point favorites. Over unders 45.5. DGen will be in attendance at this game. You can tell I'm excited. Ian, before everybody tells me I'm a homer and I'm going to go on my soapbox, you want to give us a dose of reality, or are you going to join me on my soapbox?
You bet. I'm more than happy to do this. So obviously, I picked the Eagles at the beginning of the year, right? I took them to win the Super Bowl. I thought that having Saquon Barkley would be a huge move. Getting rid of DeAndre Swift, you saw what he did in Chicago, complete garbage, right? And they got the guy who said, "Get on back. I'm ready to get going." Then I had Green Bay come out, put the smackdown down on the Seahawks at home. We were there. John Procraps was there. I brought him, his entire family. We went out, and they look good. I mean, beatable. I think the Seahawks had a chance to win that game. Probably should have. But here's the biggest thing I think is going to happen. Just like Baltimore is going to struggle, Green Bay's lost Christian Watson. So they don't have anybody on a deep threat anymore. Chris and I were talking about that in the green room ahead of time. But who they do have is, Josh Jacobs was a beast. If it wasn't Saquon Barkley this year, what a great move. What a colossal mistake by the Raiders dumping him, right? That just goes to show you Brady needs to come in to the Raiders and shake some stuff up and tell people this is the way we do football, right? So getting back to this game, you got the Eagles with an amazing defense, right? I think this game right here, I'm giving the 4.5 easily. I might even buy that down and say 6.5, strictly because I think the Eagles right here are out to make a statement. They're tired of everybody second guessing, especially the way that everybody's admiring the Lions. Joe, I know you're in the house. Sorry, you kicked our butt out here in Seattle. I appreciate you, but I think the Eagles are going to make a statement this year. I said that at the beginning of the year. I think there was some questions during the middle of the year when you had your AJ Brown and Devontae Smith complained about not getting enough passes. Well, guess what? You just had a guy that rushed for over 2,000 yards. There's only so many plays you can have during the season. But I really like the way they're coaching. I really like how they're on the offensive side is really doing a great job. Sorry, guys, my son's coming to steal my phone. And so when you look at this and you say, how is Green Bay going to be able to stop him? Green Bay's going to have to run the ball, which I think plays right into the Eagles' hands. I just don't see anybody on the outside for the Eagles beating up on the Eagles' defense, really. I don't see any receiver that's left within Green Bay in order to be able to compete. So I'm taking, like I said, taking the Eagles minus 4.5. If you want to buy it down to minus 6.5, do that because I think they cover by 7 or more. I think this is an easy win for them. Sorry, Joe, but I see the Eagles just walking away with this one.
Well, I'm going to start this off by saying, Joe, I love you. I will call you from the game, and I will send you some pictures. Listen, okay? Ian, I'm so far on board with you that I have already locked a parlay in. All right, I'm going to tell you all at home. Alternate spreads, the Chargers minus 5.5, the Eagles minus 8.5.
Whoa.
Already locked it in. All right, listen, I agree 100% with you on the Eagles. I know there's question marks about Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts will play, okay? For anyone who thinks Jalen Hurts isn't playing, he will play. I can guarantee you that. I am so confident in this Eagles team that if Tanner McKee was back there, I'm still good with my 8.5 points. I really am, all right? Here's why. Let me tell you. So you mentioned already Christian Watson's out, right? Jordan Love's going to play. We already know this, right? We know Jalen Hurts is going to play, and even if he doesn't, I don't care. Like you said, though, they don't have a deep threat anymore, right? Dontavius Wicks, Romeo Doubs, Jalen Reed. I mean, listen, these guys, they don't concern me at all against that Eagles secondary. The only concern that I would have on the Packers offense is Josh Jacobs. What are the Eagles going to do? They're going to make you beat them, or you're going to make the Packers beat them in the air, okay? You already know they're going to do that. Vic Fangio, thank God he's been brought in here because he's a genius on the defensive side of the ball, and it shows, right? First overall defense, first overall passing, 7th against the rush. The one key thing here, though, I think is we let up the second most points. So we're the second lowest scoring defense, as in we give up the second least amount of points, which I think is important here because I think the Eagles are going to put up a lot of points. All right. A lot of people would say, cold game for the Eagles, it plays into their advantage. The Packers are used to the cold weather. That's out the window. All right. Against a hot weather team, it may make a factor. Against the Packers, it's not a factor. Eagles played the Packers in week 1, 34-29 game. Eagles won. Key point there, though. 1, the defense was brand new, right? If you look at our defense in the first 5 weeks of the season versus the last 13 weeks of the season, 2 completely different defenses because they hadn't gelled yet. The other thing is, and I told Ian this in the green room, the Eagles had 3 turnovers in that game against the Packers, okay? They still won that game. 2 of those turnovers were inside the red zone, One was inside the 10-yard line. The other one was like right at the 20 or right outside the 20. The Packers didn't do anything with them. They kicked field goals on both of them. All right. So I think this game, the Eagles aren't going to turn the ball over 3 times. They haven't turned the ball over 3 times in a game since this game. And I think they're going to play a relatively clean game, even 1 or 2 turnovers. I'm not concerned about it. I'll be honest with you. I don't think they're going to do it. Maybe one. But I think the Eagles will run away with this one. And I'm sorry for the Packers fans because Christian Watson being in there is a huge thing for the Packers offense. Even though he may not be very productive, he draws coverage. He draws double coverage, and he opens up those passing lanes for the guys underneath and the running lanes for Josh Jacobs. So Eagles in a landslide. That's what I got to say.
Homer.
Yeah, Homer is right. But no, I think it's a valid Homer opinion. All right, Commanders Bucks. Gonna be a good game. Bucks hosting the Commanders on Sunday night, the primetime game. Bucks are 3-point favorites. Over under is 50.5. This is gonna be a good game, Ian. What do you think? Shootout here or what?
I'm ready for this game. This is the game that I actually one of the two that I'm really looking excited to watch. I love how everybody wrote off Baker Mayfield. Everybody said garbage, garbage, garbage. Look what he's doing. And I really like the team unity within the Bucks, right? They actually went out to get Michael Evans for him to break his record so he could get a $3 million bonus. The team decided to let him do that. Instead, they could have benched him, saved $3 million. No, they went out and did that for him. So he can, him and Jerry Rice now, 10 years in a row with 1,000 yards of rushing. And he did it without Godwin, right? I mean, that just goes to show you that what it is. Now, you've seen them make some changes at running back, which I think has been great. But on the other side of the pen, I love Dan Quinn. I thought the Seahawks were going to bring him in as the head coach. Dan Quinn, I mean, he took a lot of crap being in Dallas. But look at that defense. Outside of, 1 or 2 players on that defense, he didn't have a whole lot to work with. But what he's really done is taken a young team, very young team. You look at running back position, you look at McLaren, you look at Jaden Daniels, one after another on that offensive side of the ball. It's going to be fun to watch them as the years come by. Now, I think, that number, that over-under of 50.5, that's basically telling everybody, hey, we don't play defense. This is playoff football, right? And so you're talking about somebody's going to have to score 28 to 24 in order to get over that. That's a lot of points, right? So I don't know if that's necessarily going to be the case, but I'm going to shock people here. I'm going to take the 3, and I'm going to go with the Commanders here because I think Dan Quinn, he's had teams in the Super Bowl. He won the Super Bowl with the Seahawks as a defensive coordinator. He had the biggest gack in the Super Bowl when he was with the Atlanta Falcons. He had 28-3. They were up at halftime and ended up gacking that. But I really think that he's going to have these guys really set up to play. So this is my upset of the weekend. I think the Commanders are going to take this, and I think they're going to win straight up. But that's me. I'm not betting the farm on it, but that's what I'm thinking.
All right. Well, I thought we may differ on this one, and it doesn't seem like we're going to. Doesn't seem like we're going to differ. I agree, actually. I really do agree for a couple of reasons. One, I will disclaim the Bucks did play the Commanders in Week 1, smacked them around 37-20. But I think we have 2 very different teams here coming into this game. I think the Bucks are right where they were. The Commanders are exponentially better. I think you made a great point. They have a very young team. They brought in Dan Quinn, and they also brought in Austin Eckler, right? He's a great veteran back that's been able to help that backfield, help Jaden Daniels navigate situations. I think the Commanders here are strong team. Their defense is playing really, really well. They have the better defense on paper. And the one thing here is I think a lot of people, Baker's going to, do whatever he wants to them. Well, the Commanders have the 3rd best passing defense in the league. All right, so I think Baker's going to have a day, Don't get me wrong. I think Baker's going to have to have a day because I think the Commanders are going to jump out to an early lead here. I really do. I think halftime you're going to see Commanders leading, and the Bucs are going to have to go into the locker room and figure out how can we get ourselves back into this game? How can we potentially win this game? And I think the Commanders could be a very, very sneaky upset here. I like the Commanders on the spread. I like the over here as well. 50.5 is a lot. I don't like to lay that many points.
Yeah.
But I see this being a shootout. I really do. I think Jaden Daniels is going to be running and scrambling all over the place. And I look to see, these guys to have a really, really good day. Jaden Daniels, I think in the beginning of the season was a very, very heavy rushing quarterback. I don't think he was passing that well. And I think his stats are a little bit skewed because his second half passing was very high because it had to be because they were trailing in so many games. But if you look now, right, I mean, Terry McLaurin, one of the better receivers in the league, right? Then you got Noah Brown and Olamide Zaccheaus.
I can't believe you could say that name. I could not.
Well, he was an Eagle last year, so that's why I can say it. But like Jaden Daniels has been making Noah Brown and Olamide Zaccheaus look like they're like Pro Bowl level wide receivers over here. And Brian Robinson out of the backfield. I think the Commanders have a very, very good chance of winning this game. And I like the upset here. I really do.
Yep, I agree with you.
All right. Let's move over to the Vikings and the Rams. So, again, this game has been shifted to Arizona. It's on Monday night, 8 o'clock, and on ABC or ESPN. Minnesota is a 1.5-point favorite, over under 47.5. What are your thoughts on this one, Ian?
We played the Rams and the Vikings this year, and so I can say that I watched both of them. I watched the Rams game from there, and I saw the Vikings when they came out here as well. Vikings have done a lot of stuff this year, I think, with smoke and mirrors. I mean, one of my best friends came with me to the game. He's a big Viking fan, and he even said it. He says, I don't know how they're doing it. Well, we know how they're doing it. They've got a good receiving core, right? And you got Sam Darnold, a guy they picked up off the scrap heap that will probably get comeback player of the year this year, strictly because he's gone from, low status to king status in a short amount of time. Now, the question is can they rebound from that butt kicking the Lions put him through? You saw Jefferson pissed off because he wasn't getting the ball enough. Addison was pretty much gone there. You got Jones running the ball out of the backfield, who's another guy. Why did the Packers get rid of him? Well, they upgraded, right? They got Josh Jacobs, so I understand the reason why they did that. Now, the Rams, who knows? You going to get an old, beat-up Cooper Kupp, or are you going to get somebody that's primed and ready to go? You going to get, Puka Nacua? Is he still hurt? Who knows? You got, their defense struggling, I think. For me, I look at that, and I think the Minnesota covers this easily. I think Minnesota's going to win by 3. I would actually buy it, even give the points more. That over-under, that you could definitely go over on this game, depending on how things go. But I think there's not going to be a whole lot of defense on this game. But I think Minnesota has just got a better overall squad. And I'm not saying that because, the Rams are from the NFC West. I just look at it and say the Rams aren't what they were a couple of years ago when they were in the Super Bowl. And I think that when you look at it, you just don't know who's really healthy and who's not healthy. Stafford going to be Stafford the guy that throws for 4 touchdowns, or is he going to be the guy that throws for 2 picks and 220 yards? You just never know. So I'm taking Minnesota here minus 1.5.
All right, we do have a differing game. Write
it down.
Write it down. I got the Rams in this one. I think the Rams win this one, and I'm gonna say easily. Whoa. All right, listen. They played in Week 8. Rams cooked them by 10. Here's the thing, right? Watching the Vikings in Week 18, I saw vintage Sam Darnold.
Yes.
I saw the man seeing ghosts out there. Didn't know who he was throwing the ball to. You already said Jordan Addison was non-existent. He had 1 catch because he screwed me in a parlay. It was the only leg I lost because I had him over 3 receptions. I mean, who would have thought Jordan Addison wouldn't have had 3 receptions? Well, why? Because Sam Darnold was missing open receivers left and right, couldn't read the Lions' defense, and the Lions weren't playing a complex defense at all. Um, I think the Rams are going to win this game. I like them outright. I like them on the spread. I like the over in this game as well. I think you're going to see a lot of points here. I don't expect the Vikings to lay an egg like they did last time, but I think the Rams just score at will. So I do see them winning this game. Again, though, like you said, defensively, the Rams are one of the worst defenses in the league. They're 28th overall in the league. So, maybe this is a good bounce back game for Darnold. I don't know. But the Vikings defense is not much better, even though they did force quite a few turnovers against that Lions offense. But I think Sam Darnold has hit his peak and he's crashing back down to earth. I saw the Jets, Sam Darnold, in that game against the Lions, and I do not think he's going to be able to bounce back and recover. I think the Rams win this one.
All right, lock and load it. Write it down.
Lock and loaded. All right, let's. I know we're going to revisit this, after we see how we've done so far, but I think we're in pretty good. Why is this? Oh, did I do something wrong here?
I don't think so.
Did I do something wrong here? I don't think so. I think this picture's wrong.
As far as
Yeah, this picture's wrong. Forget the picture. I'm sitting over here like I thought I did something wrong. No, the Tampa Bay's playing Washington. These are switched. The Rams are switched with Tampa Bay here. I'm all discombobulated. I'm like, no, the Rams are playing. The Rams are playing the Vikings, and the Bucks are playing Washington. I don't know why this looks like this. Anyway, so
yeah, that's right.
going. Yeah, this picture's wrong. Of course, you and I aren't wrong. This picture's wrong. Sports Nation, bunch of frauds.
Yeah.
Picture is this. Where did DJ pull this one from? Who knows? All right. So talking about the NFC playoff picture, right? We both have the Eagles winning. You have the Vikings winning. I have the Rams winning, and then we both have the Commanders winning. So this really doesn't matter all that much. So we have the Eagles playing the Commanders in a divisional battle, and then we have the Lions up against either the Vikings or the Rams. Quickly, let's discuss Eagles, Washington. Who would you take? Knee-jerk reaction.
Obviously, I think it's going to be a tough game. They played this the third time they played of the year. Everyone says that's a big deal. I don't know enough about football to be able to say if that's a big deal. I'm not pro football focused, right? But when I look at that, I just think the Eagles and their rushing attack is just going to open up so much doors on the outside because they're going to stack the box to try to stop Barkley. And when they do, you got two guys on the outside that are just going to be hungry. I think the receivers for the Eagles are going to have big games. I mean, Barkley might get 85 yards rushing, but I look at that and I say on the outsides, they're going to kill them on the outsides. And I you know me, I'm a Commander guy. I like the Commanders, but I just think the Eagles got way too much offense for them. On the other side of the ball, you got a rookie playing in his second game. It's going to be going to a hostile environment. I mean, I wouldn't want to go into Eagle Stadium and be able to take a beating like that. I mean, he's been there once before, so we have a little taste of it. But it's playoff football, baby. It's week 2 of playoffs. It's going to be tough to beat. I think the Eagles just run away with that one. I'm not worried about that at all.
That's the other thing, too. I forgot to mention Dallas Goedert's back for the Birds, too. Yeah. So not only you have Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown on the outside, you got Dallas Goedert, who's a safety blanket across the middle. I agree. I think the Eagles win that one. And then Lions versus either Rams or Vikings. You have them up against the Vikings. Who would you take in that one?
The Lions their offense just looks on point, and they're getting David Montgomery back now. That if look what they did. Gibbs, why didn't Gibbs have 4 touchdowns when I needed him to when he was in my fantasy team, right? So you go back and you look at that. They're running the ball, very well balanced attack. I want to say Brown's a stud. I love that kid. And you got Laporta's probably one of the better young tight ends. It's nice to see these tight ends starting to come up. I was really not excited to see Kincaid. I thought Kincaid from Buffalo would have gave a little bit more this year. But, I really think the Lions, even with their defense just being dismantled, I still think they win this game.
All right, Lions, Eagles for the NFC title.
Well, wait a minute. You tell me who wins Who wins the Lions game that you pick?
I mean,
The Lions.
I hate the Lions. I really
I know you.
do.
That's the reason why
I
I
want the
agree with
Rams to win that game, but the Lions are going to outscore them. That's the
you. Yeah,
problem. All right,
that's totally it.
this is the issue here, right? The Lions just score when they please, and
Yep.
the Rams defense is atrocious. We already went over. They're 28th in the league. I
Yep.
mean, they're not going to be able to stop them, right? So Lions win that game. Unfortunately, Lions Eagles.
Mm, I'm
I'll
ready.
go first. I'll go first. All right.
Yeah, go.
Everyone say homer pick, homer pick, homer pick. Not
Yeah,
a homer pick. Eagles to the Super Bowl. Why? Lions offense, very, very high powered, right? Yes. Eagles defense, best in the league. I think Vic Fangio will dial up an excellent game plan to
agree.
shut down these guys. And here's the thing, right? We already mentioned all the injuries that they have on defense. That is going to play huge into the Eagles just picking them apart. The Lions are not very good stopping the run. You saw what Aaron Jones did to them for the Vikings, and the Vikings offense couldn't move the ball. Aaron Jones was moving the ball. Put Saquon Barkley back in there. All right.
Yeah.
Now we open up some passing lanes for A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, Jahad Dotson. I think the Eagles win that game. I think that game's going to be a very high-scoring affair, but I think the Eagles come out on top.
I I agree with you. I mean, I think the biggest thing we look at here is, if there wasn't so many people hurt on the Lions on the defensive side of the ball, I think this would be a totally different game, right?
I agree. I really do agree.
We talked about the Lions, and we both thought the Lions were going to be, and they were. They were a solid, solid team. Number one seed in the NFC, which it's got some really solid teams into it. But I just think right now, a lot of that's going to matter of what Hurts does this week. If he gets hurt again or something like that, I
Yeah.
know you're just gonna. It doesn't matter, but I think it does. I
No,
think
it does matter.
yeah, I think
It
the
does
side.
matter because
Yeah,
here's the thing, right? Now, I think Tanner McKee is serviceable. I don't like Kenny Pickett. I really don't.
totally.
But I think Tanner McKee is serviceable. Here's the thing, and I was telling a few people this earlier today. Even Tanner McKee he is the best passing quarterback on the Eagles. He throws the best ball on the Eagles. He makes the best reads when it comes to passing. However, he's not the best quarterback on the Eagles. Jalen Hurts is.
Sure.
Why? Because Jalen Hurts has the ability to run the ball and throw the ball. Tanner McKee will not run the ball. So with Tanner McKee, if it's getting handed off, it's Saquon Barkley. If it's not handed off, he's throwing the ball. With Jalen, you don't know what you're going to get, especially with that RPO offense, a lot of moving parts all the time.
Yep.
So it's very hard to scheme a defense up against him because he could run the ball. Saquon could run the ball. He could be passing the ball. You don't know what's coming. You need that QB spy in there at all times, which helps your receivers in the passing game. With McKee, you don't need that. If Jalen does get hurt and there's a problem, I do not see the Eagles going much farther. I think they could beat the Commanders with McKee, but I don't think they will beat the Lions with McKee.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you there. One of the things that I look at is when they talk about spreads for the teams to chances to win the Super Bowl. I mean, I don't know what Vegas is thinking with it only being plus 300 for the Lions, and the Eagles are plus 650. I would put $100 on that bet all day and twice on Sunday, just to say who's going to win the Super Bowl between them. I mean, you look back and you look at some bets and you say Minnesota plus 1,400. I don't know. I might put $50 on that. Nothing much. But I go back and they got Buffalo at plus 550. Boy, I would take that bet as well, right? I just look at this and I say, I said it back in September. I think Barkley is the game changer here. I think he's going to be very hard to stop that guy. And I think what that's going to do is just open up that middle. Goddard might have 7 or 8 catches, when you sit back and look at the way he's able to get right behind the zone and be able to sit down into that. If Hurts can see him and pick that apart, I think it's going to be huge for him. I've taken the Eagles as well.
All right. We're on the same page. We got another error here from Sports Nation, most fraud website I've ever seen. The Ravens are playing the Steelers and the Texans are playing the Chargers. So I don't know what this website was doing. Whoever was making this graphic had some beers before they were making it or something. But all right. So with the Texans and the Chargers, we both had the Chargers going through. So that's a 5 seed going through. Then we both had the Ravens winning, and we both had the Bills winning. So our quarterfinals would look like the Chiefs against the Chargers and the Bills against the Ravens. Chiefs Chargers. Who do you got?
Well, I think you got to go with the Chiefs here. I really do. I think, especially giving them 2 weeks off to, well, let's be honest, they didn't take the week off, but the whole JV team played last week, right? So they give them basically 2 weeks off to rest up. Now, are they going to be a little rusty? Who knows? But didn't Hardman just come back as well? Didn't he
Mm-hmm.
just come back as well? So, I just think Kansas City here is. I mean, I don't get me wrong. I really like the Chargers, and I think they're well coached. I just think it's going to be tough to overcome that. Now, how many games has the Chiefs won by 7 points or less this year has been just astronomical, right?
They've
Nobody
covered like 3 spreads all year, I think.
exactly right, and it's I don't know what the spread would be on that, but if I'm just picking who I think's going to win, I think Kansas City's going to win.
Give me the upset there, baby. Give
Oh,
me
good.
the Chargers. Give me the Chargers. Screw the Chiefs. I'm sorry, Lee. I'm sorry, Nick. Your Chiefs are not three-peating. I can guarantee you that. I'll put any bet you want on that one. The Chiefs are not three-peating this one. Will the Chiefs beat the Chargers? It's likely. Do I just want to be an anti-Chiefer? Even though I
Yeah.
love Andy Reid. Give me the Chargers, sure. Anyway, Ravens, Bills.
Wow, what a game! Isn't this going to be the game? Seriously,
Electric.
this is going to be, you know, I can't imagine the ratings on this game. The cool part about it is they're going to Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them know how to play in cold weather. Both of them have great mobile quarterbacks. Both of them have, do they have that standout receiver? I don't know, but you got good running games on both sides. And then we get to the defensive side of the ball. And I think here's where the difference is. Baltimore's defense is not what it used to be. It really isn't. And the kicking game, when would you ever thought a kicking game would be in doubt with Justin Tucker? Instant Hall of Famer, probably one of the best all-time kickers ever. Clutch, Mr. Opera himself. But I got serious questions about can he make a field goal in cold weather? Okay. I think, right now, quarterback wise, that's pretty even though me personally, I lead towards Josh Allen. You look at the receiving corp, Zay Flowers can't go here either. Then you might as well just go ahead and put the Bills down now. For some reason, if he can come back and get healthy, which I don't know, man, it didn't look like he's going to be able to do that. But right now, they still haven't ruled him out of this weekend's game. They said he's highly unlikely to play, but they haven't ruled him out yet. So when you look at that, I think this is going to be a good old fashioned just smash mouth football game. It's going to be played like the frozen tundra. I really look at this and say, man, what better of a type of game can you ask for to go in? I think this should be the game that goes to see who goes to the Super Bowl. Forget playing the Chiefs. Sorry, Chiefs. Yeah, you earned the number one. This is the reason why you want the number one, spot in the playoffs, right? Is because you're going to get to play at home the whole time. So I'm taking Buffalo. I'm on the Buffalo bandwagon. I'm loving Buffalo. And I think it definitely will be the game outside of the Super Bowl that I'm most excited to watch.
Yep, this game to me and the Eagles Lions game is like, give me that. I want to see it, and then I want to see my Super Bowl matchup, obviously as well. Really looking forward though to the Bills and the Ravens game. I think you have two marquee quarterbacks going up against it. You have two very well coached teams going up against it, and just like you said, that classic smash mouth football with
Yep.
Derrick Henry, Lamar running, Josh Allen, James Cook running. Like, I mean, what could you ask for? I don't know if you could ask for a better matchup. That's an exciting one. I'm with you though. I'm on the Bills. I don't care if Zay Flowers plays or not. I like the Bills on that one. If he plays, doesn't matter to me. If he doesn't play, even better. So I like the Bills there. Bills, Chiefs, for me, it's Bills, Chargers, but I could care less. The Bills are winning against either team. Bills to the Super Bowl.
Yep, I agree with you. I think it's Josh Allen's time to shine. He knows he's on the hot seat as far as you got to get over the hump. Don't be a Tony Romo or a Dak Prescott coming out of Dallas. You got to be the man here. You want to be the man, this is your
You got to
time.
beat the man.
You got to beat the man, right? And Patty Mahomes is the man right now. That guy's done stuff. I mean, he's a magician, right? I just look at this and I think the Buffalo's got everybody's number this year. I think on the AFC side, right? They really look at it and say, "Man, we're ready this year." I think they're well coached. I think there's an opportunity, especially with their defense given enough. My question to you on the Kansas City game: does something happen? You know, is there some X factor that happens with Kansas City that helps them every time squeak out a win? Whether it's a bad interception by Josh Allen or a fumble by Cook or some crazy thing. But I
Or
think
a flag from the ref.
or a flag. Yeah, amen, brother. Yeah, you know, does the NFL want Patty and those guys in the Super Bowl again? You know, I'm not a conspiracy theory, but boy, you sure can look at sometimes and say that's a questionable call. So I hope the refs don't get involved in this game. I really hope it comes down to the two guys playing. And I think, man, what a great matchup that's going to be. I sit back and I look at that and I say, man, that's two old school guys, Jim Kelly, Montana. You know what I mean? But
Mm-hmm.
the guys from now, right? And then you sit back and you look at that and you say, man, that's going to be a game where you get your popcorn, you get your beverage of choice, and you sit down and you get ready to watch that game. That's going to be a fun game.
Yeah, it will, no doubt. And then the Super Bowl obviously will be very, very exciting, regardless of which two teams are in it. Because I think Eagles, Bills, Lions, Bills. I don't want to see the Chiefs in it, obviously, but it'll be an exciting game regardless. This is what the whole culmination of the year. This is what we've been you know waiting for all year long. We're waiting for the Eagles, or not the Eagles. We're waiting for the Super Bowl. So I think it'll be good. I'm looking forward to it. And we're along for the ride. It's time to enjoy the NFL playoffs, and hopefully our predictions are pretty close. So review quickly. Out of all the games, it was I got to get my game sheet back up here. Chargers Texans. We both like the Chargers spread, even to move the spread if you wanted to. Steelers Ravens. Both lean Steelers spread, but Ravens win.
Yep.
Broncos, Bills, both like Bills on the spread. Bills to win easily. Eagles, Packers, both like the Eagles. On the spread, you can move that spread if you want. Commanders, Bucks, we like the Commanders to upset the Bucks. And Vikings, Rams, we're split. Ian likes the Vikings. I like the Rams. Overall, I think we're in for a treat of a weekend. I'm so excited.
Me too. Let's get ready for some football, baby. This is what playoff time. There's nothing better than playoff football.
There's nothing better. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen at home, appreciate you guys watching our prediction show. We'll be back with another show either next week or the following week. We'll chat. We'll let you guys know when we're going to be back with some more football discussions. But hopefully your teams win. Unless you're Joe, then I hope your team plays well enough to lose. But Joe, you do know that I love you. And, if your Packers somehow beat my Eagles, I'll root for your Packers. But I don't see it happening. And I just broke the arm on my chair. Very nice.
That's awesome.
Anyway, again, appreciate you guys watching. Enjoy your Saturday, Sunday, and Monday football games. Ian, pleasure as always. Thank you for joining me tonight. And let's have a weekend. Let's have a weekend of some football.
Baby. Let's get ready for some football. I wish Howard Cosell was alive to tell us it all too, wouldn't it? You probably don't know Howard Cosell back in the day, but Joe will remember him.
So, all right, ladies and gents, have a great one. We will see you guys very soon. Stay tuned to Discord. We'll make an announcement about when we do our next show, and we'll see you then.
Thanks, everybody.